Ma'ariv Rabbi, this is Yehuda Levin, and the program is 11 at 11, heard each and every Thursday evening at this time at 6:20 a.m. radio in New York. It's also, you can find it on YouTube, 1111, the numeral 11, and you can get to it by going to rabbi.zone. Ma'ariv Rabbi, you can also, excuse me, you can also hear our programs archived on the hotline. The number, please take this pen and write it down, 641-715-3900, 641-715-3900, extension 247656, extension 247656. And in case you didn't realize, I'm your humble host, Yehuda Halevi Levin. It's my honor to be with you here at this late hour. I'm doing this a very late hour. We do it all for you. I want to go out of order because I want to try to show you something for those of you who see this on the video. And you can subscribe and become a subscriber and see this on the video. So this is very unprofessional, but I'm going to do it this way because I want people to see Enudem Shmiel Riyah. This appeared in Yeshiva World News, and you can see it if you go on the internet, if you have a heter, but obviously we all have a term now because the Chanfonim of Agudas Yisrael and others, Satmar and this and that, they all go and they tweet, Bobav, they all go and they tweet, they go on the internet and they post things and everything else, so why are we any different? So, I guess they're giving you an ipso facto a heter. To go on the internet. So if you have to go on the internet, you go to Yeshiva World News. You have to give a yashikayach. I disagree sometimes with Yeshiva World News, but here they're doing a tremendous public service. And so this is under a story that appeared on October 30th at around 4 p.m. New York Governor Cuomo visits Satmar and visits Square. I'm going to try to show you the video or play it as loudly as possible for those who are listening on the radio or on the hotline. But this is a very, very revealing. This is the smoking gun and substantiates everything that I've been saying for the last 4 decades as I enter my 5th decade of Torah activism. Here we go. And we're just getting this ready for you.
Who is the budget director for the state. So, you know, a lot of policy people, but he's the man who has the checkbook. So I thought he was the most important one to bring it. But Curious Joel, when it was first done, was very...
Okay, here he said it.
Very controversial.
He said here in the first few seconds, the first 30 seconds of the video, the smoking gun. He says the most important, many officials here with me for the visit, but the most important one is Rabbi Menango or something like that, who's the head of the budget, and he writes the checks. They giggle, he writes the checks. In other words, Esnan Zoyna, there's no shame, not Cuomo's not ashamed, Satmar's not ashamed, that he's coming with a Hesia on a video, and he's showing, I'm bringing my guy who writes the checks in the budget. I want your votes. I want a block vote. Block, B-L-O-C-K, because Hasidim vote is a block. And that's what he's saying over here. And I'm sorry that it doesn't go any louder. Now I'm going to try briefly to play you a little bit of a snippet of Governor Cuomo coming into Square. Lama alle zingen, lama alle klatschen. Klatschen is the way the Hasidics say clapping. weil der Reutze mit Schule kommt, der Governor, der heilige Governor, unser bester Freund. Now, the question is, excuse me, it's not dignified. Rabbi Levin talks like this. It's schrecklich. It's a chutzpah. He deprecates himself and the covet of being a rabbi. And he listens to the way he's going to talk now. Who gets the prostitute of the election season 5779 award? Is it Satma that doesn't shemzach to show that they're electing Governor Cuomo, who makes koisum ksubal, who supports all kinds of schmutz, who got in a lot of trouble because he said America was never great. So even in that, he offended a lot of non-Jews. So is it Satma that says oftenly he brought his budget director to write checks? Or is it Square who has the Kindle come out and hundreds of people in this standing, and when the governor comes out, they go, and they clap and everything else, and Cuomo waves? Or was it the school a few months ago when he gave a security grant that they had all the yeshiva students come out in Magen David Yeshiva and Hask or Hank, or rather, whatever it was, and he was greeted like a rock star according to the news media reports, and Reb David Zweibel couldn't be there because he had a bris for an nickel, but other Aguda member was there, and they confident they elect him. Are those the really, do they get the prostitution award of whoring out, of zoining out, of harloting out, of prostituting our Torah, our values, our God for a few shkolim at the Chanva Russia Mirusha? Or could it be the OU? The OU just came out with a statement in the last 24 hours, a week before the election, less than a week, and it says, that Cuomo now doled out. He released another $10 million of security grants. So the OU, that makes sure to say, they're the largest Jewish organization, Orthodox organization in the world, says there's no greater ally of our community than Cuomo. In other words, the OU gives him an official stempel, a hechsher, right before the election. I mean, you got to be a chamor, an absolute chamerezel, which in English is a jackass, not to understand this chanferai is being done bikavana right before the election to kiss up Cuomo. So the question is, it's a contest between the modern and the American, the OU, or is it Square, right? That had Hillary Clinton once visiting the Rebbe. I don't think that ever happened with Satmar or anything else, but I think Hillary actually visited the Rebbe of Square. Or is it Satamare? Are they the biggest ones because their money and checks are mentioned beferish, and Cuomo's bringing in his guy who writes the checks and they're making jokes about it? But you understand the Chil Hashem? And here's the smoking gun. If you ever needed to see, now what does this remind us of? But then if we go back a decade, maybe there's even bigger chanfonim. Why? Because more than a decade ago, when the open lesbian who later got married, Christine Quinn, the speaker, had pretensions, and she thought that she might become the next mayor of New York, and she started to explore a year before and to raise money. That was probably a little before Ezra Freelander, the Heilige Scion of Liska, did another wonderful Kiddush Hashem that makes the Ach Prius Tzvi Shor very have nachas in the Olam HaEmes, and he made a fruit party for the fruit-loving Christina Quinn on Tu B'Shvat, because Tu B'Shvat is Rosh Hashanah Nolis, it's fruits, and therefore it's an appropriate time to make a party in his house to introduce it because he was getting paid. You understand, a little Esnan Zionist stuff there by Christine Quinn to promote her in the Orthodox community. And at some point around then, Simcha Felder brought her into the Beis Yaakov to speak to the Meidlach as she's a role model. So it's mamish a question, who gets in the last 20 years, who gets the prostitute number one prostituting of our values, our God, our Torah award? Is it the OU? Is it the Satmar, the Square, the Liske, Ezra Freelander? Or is it, who is it? Is it Hagidis Yisruel, who cut a deal with Cuomo, and therefore they didn't do anything but one token visit, a joke to fight gay marriage, because he was going to give them tep, and he strashed them if you're going to make a serious fight against the gay marriage. Who is the one who gets the top award? It's a very, very close race. But it's a very, very big embarrassment. The first drink of a long night. Let me mention to you that this is very special. You're going to be hearing this program on the radio, replayed 11 o'clock on Thursday evening. I want to tell you something. Last week, there was a technical difficulty, and because of the technical difficulty, they played the same exciting, powerful, dynamic, interesting program from 2 weeks ago. They played it last week. So to make that up to me, tonight they are giving me an extra hour. That means I'm on from 11 to 12. You're listening to me now. I will be on again. 12 to 1 is a Christian program. But for those who are late night owls, Leil Shishi, you could sit and say Tikkun Chatzos from 12 to 1, or you could sit and learn to say Tehillim for Klal Yisrael, or you could sit and deliberate on who is the biggest whore, harlot, prostitute, Esnan Zoinenik. You understand? Who's prostituting Chas Mamish, our godly values, our Torah, our whole essence of Kedoshim Tiyum, Amleches Kahanim V'Goy Kodesh. You could figure out who's the biggest one. You could sit and contemplate that. But at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock tonight, which is Friday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, I'm going to be on for a second power-packed hour. So I've got a lot of schira. And then I want to tell you right now that I'll be on an additional hour, only this one time, as a makeup, because there was a confusion of playing my wrong program last Thursday. So I'm getting these 2 late hours to sort of compensate myself and my audience for what they missed out. So I will be on again Monday night, Tuesday morning at 1 o'clock in the morning. I know most of you, 99% maybe, will not be listening. But there are sometimes people who are late night people, and they're sitting and learning, they're saying Tehillim, they're saying Tikkun Chatzos, and then Arangachap, believe me, you won't be bored. It's never boring here. Love me or revile me or hate me. My middle name is Trouble, Yehuda Trouble Levin, but it's not boring, and it won't be boring. And I plead with you, as I always do, as a broken record, I repeat, you can be a shutef in the Avodas HaKodesh of what I do, simply by spreading the word about the radio program, about Rabbi.zone, where a lot of these programs are videoed and archived, and you can spread the word about the hotline. We want people to be using the hotline. There are people who, Baruch Hashem, do not use the internet. They do not even have radios, or they're out of New York, or they're in Eretz Yisrael, or in Guatemala, or wherever they are, and they can phone in the hotline. I'm begging you, spread the hotline number. Again, the hotline number is 641-715-3400, extension 247656. And if you can do that mitzvah, it would be a tremendous mitzvah. And I really appreciate if you spread the word on that. Okay? Here I'm holding up. You really can't see it. It's a shud. I'm holding up. Oh, maybe you could if I stick it here. Here's a beautiful picture of see Cuomo smiling and the Square Rebbe is smiling. Mom is beautiful. Here's another picture of Cuomo and the Square Rebbe. Tell me something. You think the Chernobyl Zayda, the Heilige, they called it Chernobyl Magid, the founder of the dynasty from which Square is a derivative. You think that the Chernobyl would be happy with this kind of Hanifa, with prostituting? What are we saying? We're saying that in America, the wealthiest country in the diaspora that we had in 2,000 years, where the poorest person here is wealthier and has more creature comforts than many rich people did in the diaspora in Europe for over a millennia, that we have to kiss up to Cuomo and the politicians We did this for the moistness. We did this for the Torah. The Torah says, Esnan Zainu Mechir Kelev. When you sell a dog, you can't take the money. We're going to donate it to the Beis Hamikdash for Tzorchei Tzibur. And Esnan Zaina, if a Zaina got paid to perform her harlotry, excuse me for talking like this. So you say, when I say, Rabbi Avigdor Miller said to the woman in the front row, will she cover her udders? And I bring you a riot that there's a certain style of certain people who talk in such a brusque, what others would consider a brusque way to make points, betafka. And it says, I say l'charav, and I chose Rabbi Miller. So therefore I talk a little like this at this point after 40 years, not as a 30-year-old, not as a 40-year-old, not as a 50-year-old, not as a 60-year-old, as somebody who's over 60. Yes, I started to talk like that for shock value. You say it's a chutzpah, it's terrible, this and that. Maybe you'll be upset also when I say that the Torah uses the word esnan zaina in reference to tzedakah, donations to the Beis Hamikdash. It says you don't accept an esnan, a gift of a zaina's payment to the Beis Hamikdash if she wants to donate it. In other words, Hashem says, Moichel Toivis. So maybe it's Moichel Toivis, you're kissing up to Cuomo, when Cuomo makes Kaisum Ksubal Zachar, when he's pushing a bill of abortion, that you should, a baby that's in a botched abortion, you're allowed to withhold medical treatment, Mamash Ritzicha, and all kinds of schmutz. And he says America was never great, and all kinds of thuggery and all this stuff. And you support him, maybe Hashem saying in the parsha, the Torah, Esnan Zayna Am Moichel you, and this money that you're getting for Moses and everything else will not help you, and you'll have more molestations in your community, and eventually more gezeirus on Mila and stuff like that, because you don't care about Kedushas HaBris, you care about the Heilige Shkolim. So that's what I'm going to say, but I'm allowed to say it. I'm not allowed to say it. I did say it, and sue me, and what can I do? By the way, since we're doing show and tell, for those of us who have the, we see this on the video, and again, you can see the video of Rabbi Zone. Here, I'm holding this up. This is from years ago. Here's the picture. It's a picture that appeared in the New York Times, and I had kavana by doing an activity to make it appear in the New York Times in 1985, just around this time of the year. Mamish, there was an election for Koch's third term of mayor of New York, his third and final term. If you notice in the picture, there's Mayor Koch. There's Mayor Koch. There's Carol Bellamy, the liberal lesbian who was running against him, the former head of the city council. There's Diane McGrath, Diane McGrath, who was a one-shot wonder. She appeared suddenly and she got the Republican line, and they gave her the conservative line, although they should have given it to the true conservative, yours truly, Yehuda Levin. And here's Yehuda Levin, who got the right to lifeline. And I am throwing, as the New York Times describes it, a piece of literature, a gay and proud book list that they were giving out in the children's section of the Brooklyn libraries. And here is the other part of this. Here is the headlines of the one mayoral debate, because this was the New York Times debate, and Koch couldn't avoid it. And in these headlines here, I want to show it to you, those who can see it. And them Shmiel Re'iyah. Re'iyah is really something. I'm holding it up. Here is the headline in the Daily News, and here's the headline with the picture in the New York Post, and here in the bottom is the Daily News, and here's the picture with the statement from me in the New York Times. I'll read all three of the titles. The title in the Post is Rabbi Rival Blasts Anti-Family Koch. You said it nicely. Big Kiddush Hashem. Here, Rabbi slams mayor on gays in debate. Headlines, you see? And it cost me nothing. And here in the New York Times, it has the quote of my summary. It gives a summary of what each candidate said, and it gives a quote. Here's my quote. We need to get back to family values, to responsibility, to concern and consideration. Rabbi Lou Y. Levin. You see, it's what it's possible to do. I mentioned this in our second hour, that you can tune into tonight at 1 o'clock in the morning on this same station, 6:20 a.m. You can lay in bed with your transistor radio, and you can let me put you to sleep or make your blood boil and keep you awake. If you want to get up and you want to do a little early Tayameha, or you're working late in the night to prepare for Shabbos, and you're from the Noshim Sitkonias, or you're driving around in your car, you're coming back from the latest shopping trip, and you're coming home, so you can hear, and then at that point, I'm going to read you an article, and I call it to your attention, that was published in the Jewish press this week issue on page 8. And this week's issue, page 8 in the Jewish Press, there's an article that was written by yours truly. It's a dynamic article. It's a chiddush that they would put this into the newspaper. They would allow it to be printed. I want to hold it up for you. I would like to present it to you, to show it to you. Bear with me, please. This is highly professional, you know, the way we do things. Unfortunately, I don't have a producer. I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody to pay for the program, L'man Hashem. I have to do it myself. I have already around $14,000 on credit card debt, which I don't know how I'm going to pay. I keep on mentioning it. I'm confident that Hashem will send Mogin and Mashiach. He will send Ezra's Aviseinu. He will send me an Ezra, not a Freelander, my good friend, but he'll send me an Ezra to help me. I'm holding up the article. This is an article on page 8 in the Jewish Press with the actual picture in small, a photocopy of the letter that I was the catalyst from obtaining for Moshe Feinstein that speaks about how we're supposed to fight against gay legislation. And we're supposed to go down with our bodies to the city hall. The title of this article is, Did Reb Moshe Always Want Us to Vote? And in the Jewish Press on the front page, it speaks about what Reb Moshe felt about, or did he feel that we have to fight immoral legislation. And the article is a fascinating article. It's not perfect. They edited a lot of the good points out in the Jewish Press, whether it was for reasons of brevity, they didn't have the space, or whether it was for reasons of it was too politically incorrect. Nevertheless, I greatly appreciate that the Jewish Press is even giving me the opportunity to present a minority viewpoint at this point. It should be the majority. But even if it's a minority viewpoint, if they let me do it, here's a shout out to my friend Joey Aarons at the Jewish Press, and a great thanks to Elliot Resnick, who's a true tzaddik, and of course to my old friends, Reb Jerry Greenwald, and I know Naomi Maurer. We met many years ago on several occasions, and I really respect and appreciate that the Jewish Press is allowing me to get some of this stuff out, even if it's only 70% of the important points. But nevertheless, it's far more than the other newspapers are doing. Here, let me give you an example. We're jumping from thing to thing. There's an election coming up in Lakewood. I'll speak about this as well on my next few programs. But there's only one candidate. We raised the issue with a shout out to Aaron Cutler, Rev Aaron Cutler. He is the CEO of Lakewood. Everybody listens to Rabbi Aaron Cutler. The Rosh Yeshivas, Rabbanim, and the Mashgiach, and everybody else. He is the one who tells the Vad what to do. Aaron Cutler knows what's good for me and you. You know, understand, we have to salute him. I'm a Levian Lashirul Zimram, I'm a Levi. So what does a Levi do from time immemorial? He sings. So who's there better to sing and to sing than for the great Reb Aaron Cutler? Tell me, did the ski season start yet, Reb Aaron? Have you made your first ski trip yet? You're going to wait until after the election, because I'm sure you're helping us very much, Reb Aaron. Maybe you can get to Rabbonim. Here's a shout out to Reb Aaron. Maybe you can get to Rabbonim in Deal and in environs of Deal. There's a new senator, Gumpel, or something like that, Gopel, whatever his name is. And just this week, they visited him because there's going to be a vote soon on assisted suicide, Reb Aaron and Vad. And assisted suicide, there's a Kol Kaira with over 50 Rabbanim from all Kreisen, from Aaron Rathkoff, from YU to Rabbi, to Hasidic Rabbanim, to literature Rabbanim, to Shishivas. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We need to have Rabbanim to tell us to breathe. They should tell us that it's also al pi halacha to vote for anybody who supports assisted suicide. Nevertheless, this week, an Askin and at least one Rav from Deal met with this new senator, and he's very much undecided. He's a politician, and he has to hear, Reb Aaron, he has to hear from Lakewood, from New Jersey constituents enough, and from rabbis. He has to understand the impact of this Kol Kaira, that it's also to vote for somebody who says suicide. And there, Rabbi Aaron, you wanted to bring Hillary Clinton into the base medrash. You told me so yourself years ago. You said to me, this is mamish, highly sophisticated. I got to tell you, much more sophisticated than me. You said, if Hillary Clinton would come into the base medrash and she could see the Riska, the Milchamta Shel Torah, the Shrayachs and Torah, she'll understand what Yiddishkeit is all about, and all those stupid things that she sponsors, and her liberalism will fall to the wayside. You told me this. You told me this. You told me that the Mashgiach dissuaded you and said, maybe you'll bring her into the dining room or something. Don't bring her into the base medrash. This is what you told me at a chasna of one of my relatives in Lakewood 10, 12 years ago. Right? Anyhow, so you don't understand, obviously, how terrible the Mishkav Zocha thing is and how terrible these other things are. But assisted suicide, so they're Rabbanim. So maybe if you don't understand how terrible it is, maybe you could ask Rav David Schuster, maybe you could ask your appointed brother, Harav Hagoyin, Hatzadik, Rav Malkiel, about assisted suicide, if they agree. And if you think it's important enough that maybe it's a sakana for Klal Yisrael, because they're going to start to pull more plugs from people if such a thing becomes a law. It's a pachat, pechadin, and the mamish lead to ritzicha of older people and of sick people. So maybe you could use some of your time and some of your pull to get a lot of people to call up, to use your contacts with the Deal Rabbinate and with other rabbinates in the district, to get them all to announce in shul this Shabbos, Rebbe Aaron, this Shabbos. They should announce in shul that assisted suicide is coming up for a vote soon in the assembly, in the state senate. And it's very, very important that this new senator, he could be a swing vote. And he's got to be persuaded that nobody will vote for him because of this psak halacha. Nobody will vote for him if he doesn't vote the right way in assisted suicide. Start to show some backbone, Rebbe Aaron. Yeah, how about that? Anyhow, so Rebbe Aaron, you know that we communicated, and I spoke around 6 or 8 months ago about back in June, about the tremendous Chilul Hashem and the sakana for our youth who go to the Lakewood Library, and they go to the youth library, and there's a whole month of homosexual pride celebrations, including booklets and other activities for children, calling attention to the whole homosexual agenda and lifestyle in the youth section of the library, where many children go to get books for school or for whatever it is. Has anything been done about it, Aaron? Did you or the VAD or the vaunted committee man or the vaunted mayor of New Jersey, did any of them speak to Ocean County that funds this Chazarai and tell them Loimata Aleph? The answer is no, except there's a new fellow who's running. I think his name is Aaron Hirsch. His name is Hirsch. He's running for committeeman. I beg the people to vote for Hirsch. I beg the B'nai Torah. Make a Kiddush Hashem. Hirsch is the only one who promises to try to do something. Then he'll say, Levin, it's impossible. We can't. It goes to censorship. It's against the law to discriminate, and we can't. Ahina her. There's a will, there's a way. The first thing is, even as a ruchniistic insurance and protection, if we tried our hardest and it still doesn't work, but if we throw up our hands in defeat, we can't do anything, we're not going to even try, that's garbage. That's garbage. That's terrible. So therefore, I urge everybody to vote for Hirsch. To vote for Hirsch. Let the people power the B'nai Torah of Lakewood put Hirsch in as a committee person. And let's start to see, that's the message that you have to send to the Hanholas HaYeshiva that's under the thumb of Aaron. They can't be bothered. They're sitting and learning. They're giving shiurim. They don't know. It's always the Rabbanim, the Gedolim, the Rebbes. They don't know. They don't know what's going on. Teres Hashem Machkimas Pesi. Don't worry, we have it under control. It's under the thumb, the erstwhile thumb of Reb Aaron Kotler Shlita. And then it trickles down to the committee and to the VAD, etc., etc. You understand? So therefore, we need your Aaron's. I'm coming here. Look, I'm on all fours. I'm begging you. I'm begging you, Aaron. Please please do us a favor. Go out of your way and contact the Rabbonim, your connections in that entire district of the deal type district and that thing, and put a huge pressure. Let 1,000 people call his office and say, we can't vote for anybody. Could you imagine if you got 1,000 votes? It doesn't cost you any money, Rav Aaron. You don't have to collect money to kiss up like you had David Lichtenstein making the party for Hillary Clinton, where around, I don't know if it was 100,000, 200,000 or more dollars was given for Hillary Clinton's campaign. With goodness Yisrael and you encouraging David Lichtenstein to do this, and people were spending thousands of dollars to have a picture with that machshefa by Lichtenstein's fireplace. You understand? Here you don't have to spend any money. You don't have to expend, you don't have to raise any money, Rav Aaron. It's a no-brainer. Do something for Klal Yisrael, please. I beg you. Now, why do I keep on talking about the library now? First of all, because the election's coming up in Lakewood and they should have measured it. But here, look at this. I want to show you this. This is from a Catholic organization in Maryland. You see the picture? Let me show you. I'm holding it up very near the screen. The first time these drag queens, you see here, this lady here? This is called a drag queen. This is a grown-up adult dressed up, a man dressed up as a lady. And here's another picture of a drag queen, a little maidel being held up. You know what's going on here? Here you can see the headline. Here, let me read it to you. The headline says, Maryland Library hosts state's first drag queen story time. That's what it's about, Reb Aaron. That's what it's about. And it'll come to Lakewood too, a whole month in the youth library. They'll be pushing transgendered and drag queens, and you'll have that also. So don't do anything. And when you don't do anything, Hashem makes it from bad to worse. That's why Lakewood's got to do the right thing. And I want to tell you something while I'm on the subject. We're going to talk next week again. And the next week's program is going to be devoted to, again, we'll repeat some of these things. They'll be devoted to Lakewood. I'm going to speak about the fact that I warned you that there's an Askin who's been found guilty in a Bezdin in Lakewood. And because of that, his unfaithfulness, his loisinoif transgression, it broke up the marriage of another couple who had to get divorced, Asar Abal, Asar Aboyel. And he is still an Askin in Lakewood. And Rav Aaron Kotler got indignant and sent me an email that I'm playing with my Olam Haba, and this is Harold Hershkowitz and Alamini Shtussim. But I'm aware that it's true. And the reason that they continue to have this Askin doing stuff is because he's in such a in flagrante delicti, or whatever the Latin term is, flagrant, delicate situation. He's under their thumb. He's much better because if Hirsch gets in, he's going to be a little independent of Aaron Kotler and Rev Aaron Kotler and the Vad. Or should we just call him the sky-high skier and the Vad? Ah, come on, you have thin skin. Rev Aaron, we're kidding around. We're gibbetsing around. Come on. Life is not serious. We don't have to worry about things like gay rights and this and that. It's all ala chukah v'talula, and we're doing for Klal Yisrael, we're building up ISIS and building up Yeshiva and Teira and everything else. So I made a joke about skiing. What's I was like, fair luck. Please don't take it so serious. I'm lightweight anyhow. What I say doesn't mean anything. I speak kamat nivel peh. I'm a shreklich person. But if Hirsch gets in, you understand this is a tremendous netzachen, and this will push the vads and the committees and shmitties, and maybe they'll get rid of this Askin because eventually he's going to be outed. Don't say you weren't warned. You can wait and wait and wait. You continue to do yours, and eventually this guy's going to have bizyonis, and his family's going to have bizyonis, and it's going to be at the doorsteps of Rav Aaron and the Rosh Yeshivas and the Vad and all those who don't clean up their act. That's it. Please be aware of that. I don't want to do it. I've gone out of my way to keep this person's identity private, but there's a limit. You can ignore me. I'll have to ignore you. It works two ways. Now, let's see what we have over here. Let's see what we have over here. Got a lot of stuff here. Let me take another l'chaim, a little watering, as we hit the 34-minute mark. Chaim Taimel L'Shalom, which have refused in Shuas, Amy Marasi, Masha Basmatl, the Schus of the Ashkof, and the the Vichizik in Torah and the Kveit Shamayim that comes out of this program should be as chus for Shlema to call for Imi Maros Masha, as for Yisrael, that she should have a Shlema B'tech Shachol Yisrael. Merv Rabbi Say. Let's see what else. Can I ask you a question, please? Could I ask you a question? The guy's name is Gumpel, I think. And yeah, that state senator who has to be spoken to. What is Aguda doing about assisted suicide? You know how they tweet and schmeat how this one's great and that one's great and this wonderful, this and that. How come New Jersey is so close to assisted suicide? There was already, I think, a committee vote. And how come we don't hear what Aguda is doing? Oh, they're working behind the scenes. They're working quietly. And the Rabbi Schnall's working overtime. He's a very serious person. When Schnall was asked what he's going to do about assisted suicide, one of the Askanim asked him, he says, I'm not going to send somebody down to offend people by accusing them, meaning the legislators, of being like Hitler and Nazis. Understand? But there's a shtickle too still, because the Nuremberg laws, they dehumanize different people, and they pushed euthanasia, and it's a very apt type of a thing. So it's gauche, it's Prost, it's not a sophisticated way. Okay, so you know what? Schnall baby, representative of the Gedali Yisrael, the Mitzvah Gedali Torah, ernst the person that you are. You have a breira. You organize a bustle of the people to come down to Trenton. You get some sophisticated, some choshev aguda askonim, dakterim, professionals to come down and speak the King's English. You organize the Rabbonim of Gans, New Jersey, that they should listen to the word that comes out from on high, from the Har Sinai Shnal Agudas Yisrael headquarters of New Jersey, and you tell them that they should have all kinds of calls going in to the proper state senators or whoever else, assembly, and even the governor's office, to preclude this from happening. What are you doing, Agudas Yisrael? What is the sound of silence? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Aguda does so much for us. Aguda is driving Klal Yisrael's bus. And if it were necessary, Aguda would make a fuss. Oh, yeah. But when it comes to assisted suicide, it's like with gay rights. It's the sound of silence. You and I don't even know what they're doing. What do they show? You understand? You like it? A little singing, Levium, L'Shin, L'Zimram, a little Lebedikite to keep myself up. You know what time it is now? By me, it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm doing this all for you. That's the way it is, because it's got to be had by the engineer tomorrow morning. You should be able to fix it up for the radio and everything else. So that's what it is. We get verschlepped, and it comes out late nights. I stay up late nights to do this thing. So I got to sing a little bit. Suzagin and Suzingin, Rabbi Sai. I want to know what Aguda is doing, and why can't they organize petitions? Why can't they organize calling chains? Even gasp, a Tehillim rally. What would be so terrible if from Aguda World Headquarters in Manhattan there would come out a letter to all the Aguda affiliates and all the congregations? Maybe they could even work with the OU congregations for this, just like they work with the OU congregations for other kinds of things. They can work together, and they can ask that every rabbi should announce that they should say a kapitel or two of Tehillim about, not chas v'sholem, about the gayachs or the transgender stuff. That doesn't rate that we should ask the Yidden to say Tehillim. It's not the Medina. It's not Eretz Yisrael. In the Torah it says, Einei Hashem likechem reishis danav ad acharisai. On Eretz Yisrael there's a bazunda hashgacha. But for that, we know that we say Tehillim for the safety of the Yidden Eretz Yisrael. What about Tehillim for the safety and security of morality and decency for our kids who are being molested, and for potential gezeirus on Mila, and for the tightening of the noose around us in all kinds of ways because of our turning the other cheek to immorality and kissing up the korma? What about saying some Tehillim for that? Das kemenish. but maybe assisted suicide, you understand that could affect us in a bad way, because the trickle-down effect is going to be they're going to pull plugs many, many times, still hate in the hospitals, and the nurses are going to be far more less interested in helping out people who are seriously sick, and especially your elderly parents or grandparents or whatever it is. So by keeping shut now and not doing what you're supposed to, your mamish signing death sentence over the years, chas v'shalom, for many tens of hundreds and thousands of people, because as it goes in New Jersey, it goes in New York, and it goes to the country, etc., etc. Ashrek and apachad. So how about it? What is our good to doing? Maybe they should say to him, maybe you can wake up people to how important it is. Maybe you should Torah. I thought you Torah everything. It was very strange, you know, in 1991, exactly, so approximately, I can't remember exactly what that was the year. It was in the 1990s, I think, in the late 90s maybe. It wasn't 91, no. When they Aguda honored Joe Lieberman, and exactly a year later, Rabbi Moshe Sherrod died. He expired literally on the day of the Aguda dinner. When Vice President Gore, they wrote up a speech for him to say a hesped for Rabbi Yeshara, Olav Shalom, Zechron Livrocha, Zechatzadik Livrocha. Even before, I always keep this by me, Rabbi Side. You see, every so often I trot this out. This is my Bible. I always hold this to Rabbi Shara book, how to be an asking. This is my inspiration. You see, I'm going to show the official art scroll. Look how thick it is and everything else. I've read from you many times. So anyhow, people don't usually tell us that he died exactly a year after from the convention, the dinner where they honored Joe Lieberman. Joe Lieberman, who never met a gay bill he didn't like, who pushed open gay acts in the military, who the Ashcroft, the United States Senator from Ashcroft from Missouri, sent people to call me in the 1990s. I thought Joe Lieberman is Orthodox. How does he support all the gay schmutz? Chil Hashem. But of course, he publishes books that he's put on the on the Jewish Action magazine of OU. He writes a book about Shmira Shabbos, and he's a ganze Darshana. So anyhow, he was honored by Agudas Yisrael, and a year later, on the anniversary, so to speak, from convention to dinner, Rabbi Sher unfortunately passed away, and I had Saul Winter call up Revel Yisvei and tell him, you know, Agudas Yisrael always does anything about the Gedolim. How come you agree to honor Joe Lieberman? It's not a Chil Hashem. Yisvei started to scream. What do you mean? We weren't told. Against this. Chutzpah. Shmuel Kamenetsky told me when I called him up, thank you very much for telling me. I'll make sure not to shake his hand. So much for the myth that Agudas Yisrael consults with Gedolim and everything. Why don't you consult with the Gedolim? Say that upstart, the Oiswaf with the Nivel Peh, who speaks about Zoina and harlot and prostituting and other things, that Oiswaf Yehuda Levin suggested that maybe we should ask people throughout New Jersey to say Tillim wegen the assisted suicide. You know what? In Pittsburgh, it's a terrible, terrible thing that 11 people were murdered because they were Jews and they were Kedoshim, and I'll address that a bit. I've addressed it in many videos already, but I'll address it, time permitting, in this hour or the next hour. But, you know, in the greater, longer term, there are going to be many more Jews murdered by assisted suicide and the trickle-down effect in general of withdrawing medical care legally or illegally by medical institutions that already for years are still hate, sodo voce, still hate. There are so many doctors and nurses that have a feeling you already lived, you're like leaves on a tree that are withered, get off the tree and die and make room. We have to spend the kochas, and therefore they plug plugs, they withhold medications, they do different things, they persuade people to write do not resuscitate orders. Oh, the person shouldn't suffer such pain, it's not this and that. And they tell the confused imbeciles that, you know what I mean, you don't want your mother or your father suffering pain, so write a do not resuscitate order. This is already they're doing quasi-legally. Once it becomes assisted suicide, it's a giant step down the slippery slope. Understand? Maybe they should stay tuned. So we're officially asking that the Hanhole, the lay leadership, should actually ask the Gedolei Yisrael, ask the Novominsker Schnall, what should we do Does this, even though Levin is an Asvav, maybe he's saying some practical things. We should make calling change. We should make press conferences. We should make tumults. We should have rabbis going en masse. If 10 rabbis would ask for meetings with Compel and heads of schools and Deal and the surrounding areas, it could make a remarkable effect. Okay? Let's see. Let's see if it's going to happen. Don't hold your breath. Now let's take another l'chaya. Your humble host used 11. If you obtained a pen, please write down the hotline number. Please, please, pretty please, with sugar on top, 641-715-3900. 641-715-3900. And the access code is 247656. 247656. Now, I want to make it very clear from all the leaders who are running for statewide office, for controller, for attorney general, for governor, including the Republican Molinaro, who's conservative. The fact that they have a conservative party endorsement means nothing. Since our last program, when I called for a second time, Chairman Michael Long of the Conservative Party that I know for 40 years, a decent fellow, but he's in politics. Politics is patronage. Politics is the art of what's possible, quote unquote. So he tells me, listen, Rabbi, we still are against, in our platform, we're against gay and gay marriage, we haven't stopped fighting and everything else. I said, but Joe Loda, who ran for mayor at #1 time against de Blasio, put out ads about embracing gay marriage and abortion on demand, and he had your endorsement. And the woman, not Dukakis, but a similar name, who ran last time against de Blasio, did the same thing. Now you have Molinaro, who says, I've evolved on the gay marriage thing. I now support gay marriage. It's the law of the land. I said, Mr. Long, what's going on here? Those are exceptions I want to look forward. And he said all kinds of Sachen, and then he chepered me. He says, what about your Orthodox Jews? How come they're voting for Nadler? It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. You should know Nadler went to yeshiva, and he knows he's a oisvaf. And I've said this story many times before. The first time Nadler was here was he took over for Ted Weiss, who dropped dead. Greenwich Village Holocaust survivor, a real maneuver, one of the most liberal people he wanted to impeach. I forget which president. Was it President Reagan? So he's a mamsha. Oh, yeah, President Reagan. It's mamsha oisva for low life. So he died. Nadler took over. Okay. And anyhow, Nadler's a oisva, and chas v'shalom, you should make a chil Hashem vote for Nadler. I'm telling you, there's going to be hell to pay. I'm sorry to tell you, at this stage, there's so many rabbanim over the years and common sense and das Torah that you should have, that you don't vote for somebody who makes all this kind of immorality and wants to even impeach the president of the United States. That doesn't rise to the level of immorality, but stam, they'll nidrika lowlifes. So here, I'm holding up this thing in the Jewish press. This Naomi Levin, she has the same name as my daughter, Naomi Levin. So what could be wrong? Her parents came from Russia, and maybe she's a modern ortho, and she appeared several times in Borough Park. Listen to this. You see, this is on page. What page is this in the Jewish press? Right opposite the page of the Cultural Dispatch that I'm going to read to you in momentarily. This is, on this page, it speaks about Rev Sternbach takes a harsh stance against Rabbi Merwis. We're going to get to that in a second. Right next to that, here, I'm holding up the ad. It takes up a quarter of a page. The obligatory perfunctory ad that nobody told Naomi that when you write an ad with so much information, such small oisius, nobody reads it. Nobody's going to take the time to take a microscope to read it. And therefore, you're wasting a lot of money. But here's the ad. I want to show it to you. I'm holding it up here. Vote for Naomi Levin, and then it has all this tiny oisius which you can't read. I strained myself to try to read the oisius. I was hoping, because we sent messages to Naomi Levin, you're going to put in one ad, you're going to do, you only have $30,000 you spend the campaign. It's a joke, you have no chance of winning. And you want Orthodox Jewish votes against Nadler. Speak up and say, I will defend traditional family values, Torah values. No! She wrote about charter schools, about guns, whatever she wrote about, environment, whatever she wrote about, she wouldn't write it. I'm begging you, I'm telling you, she makes Nadler is a terrible person. But she makes a bazundre chil Hashem, that she's a so-called Orthodox Jewish person coming to us for our votes, and she can't bring herself, even when she has no chance of winning. So what's so terrible? She should speak out for Torah and Kedusha? No, because she learned from Agudas Yisrael. She learned from all the whoring going on, Satma, OU, Aguda, Lubavitch, Bobiv, etc. So she learned, so why do I have to speak about morality? I'll speak about charter schools. That's much more important. Please, I'm begging you, don't vote for Naomi Levin. If she can't have the consideration, she ignored requests to speak out for family values, she doesn't have the gefühl, don't vote for her. See, who should I vote for? I'm telling you, when there's nobody to vote for in the statewide office because they're all immoral, they all stand for immorality, if you go with a cheshbon of the lesser of the evils, and when people hear this argument, the lesser of the evils, they say, oh, if it's the lesser of the evils, that means they're both evil. So I have to vote for somebody, so why should I vote for the lesser of the evil? If Cuomo does more, he's giving more money, he's the governor, he's going to win, I'll vote for the bigger of the evil. Now, sometimes, so that's one problem with speaking about the lesser of evils as an excuse to vote. That's why I don't hold from the lesser of the evils. If one person spits on your wife and one person punches your wife in the face, you're not going to vote for either one of them. You're not going to say the lesser of the evils was the one who spit on her. He didn't punch her in the face and put her in the hospital, so I'll vote for her. You won't say that. So if somebody spits on your guard or smacks your guard in the face, kavyachol, you don't vote for any of them. You understand? You do it if you feel, oh, we're going to lose power, we're going to lose this. I'm reading about it in the next hour, in the 1 to 2 o'clock hour, for those who are up. And if not, you can see it on the video, and it'll be archived on the phones, Mir Hashem, the hotline. I'm going to speak at length about this, but I want you to understand now that you can do a write-in if you want, for anybody who you want, but do not vote for anyone running for statewide office because you're being mechazik garbage. And the Satmar Rebbe said, when you make a vote for somebody, a lowlife in the Knesset in Israel, you have a chelik in everything he or she ever does. The Kashmir Rav said the same thing applies in America and over here. And there's a svara to say that somebody, a big Talmud Chacham, explained to me, a big Pikeach, that sometimes the lesser of two evils is even worse than the evil. Okay? Because, let me explain to you why. When Molinaro shows that I can get the Conservative Party endorsement, I could run against Cuomo and I could say openly without embarrassment, I've evolved on gay marriage. He's sending a signal to all the other Republicans and all the other future Conservative Party candidates. It is now acceptable to openly embrace the hashchasa that brought a mabel to the world. So everybody knows Cuomo is evil and he's the architect of this thing, and Asad Litenas Adin, and it's disgusting, Estan Zoyna, what we saw in the video with Satma, the smoking gun, that it's all about money and checks and we're doing it all guilty but God. But now at Molinaro, we're doing an additional Lifnei Iver and other Isurim, because we're going to cause many people to learn from Molinaro that he could be supported by traditional religious people, and he can get a Conservative Party endorsement from Michael Long and company, even if he's a schmutz, so everybody will turn the other cheek to the schmutz. That's why you can't make a cheshbon of the lesser of evils. Either you don't vote, or you vote with write-ins. Don't you understand? The reason that we are in this situation is Hashem has taken away the bechira from us in these races because we've turned the other cheek so often to immorality, because of what the Satmar Rebbe and the Skver are kissing up Cuomo and the OU and the Aguda. They're all kissing up the guy who was pushing an abortion bill that after the baby survives a botched abortion, we can withhold medical treatment. Ritzicha. They're pushing assisted suicide bills, which I guarantee Cuomo will sign, and on and on and on. Taking what do you call it? Abortion out of the penal code. It should no longer be considered like a crime if you're a Ritzicha Sa'ubar. You understand? All this goes against Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. So we hold the going responsible for Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. I'm your humble servant, Yehuda 11. Take the hotline number and spread the word, 641-715-3900. Okay, I want to tell you something. There's an organization that I spoke about in the past. I did them a favor, and I spoke about them. This organization is called the Shadach, and the Shadach is encourages people to read shidduchim. That's what it's about. The organization L'Shadach, and now they're running a special campaign. They're running a special campaign. L'Shadach is, and I want to read you their advertisement. Okay, this is a public service advertisement. Okay, stay with me here. Here is a free Gevaldik Hanukkah raffle offer to our listeners. Please take a pen to write it down. The number is 844 L'Shadach, which is 844-537-4233. I'll repeat this number again after I give you the details. Suggest a new shidduch or ask the shadach to read a shidduch on your behalf because you can't read it for whatever the reason, but you have a great idea of a shidduch and they're trying to encourage shidduchim l'sol tachlis thereabout, and you'll be entered to win a cash prize of $1,000. That's $1,000 just reading a shidduch for another Jewish couple. The more shidduchim you suggest, the more raffle entries you will get into this $1,000 raffle. Again, to register, call 844-LeShadach, which is 844-537-4233. Again, I'll repeat, 844-537-4233. The LeShadach raffle will be drawn on December 2nd, which is Zeis Chanukah. Now, I just want you to know that next week, you're going to be able to go to the LeShadach's website online, and to register to start next week, details will follow. So again, it's L'Shadach, and the number is 844-537-4233. And just by telling them a shidduch that you did read, or asking them to read the shidduch for you, you're entitled to get a free entry for each shidduch you read into a raffle that will be pulled out, Zeis Chanukah, picked out, and somebody will win $1,000. Okay, now, Now, I want to show you, don't believe this baloney that Agudas Yisrael is nonpartisan. Agudas Yisrael wants Cuomo to win. And this goes back to Rabbi Sherrod Zichroinei Tzadik Livrocha, who wanted Mario Cuomo to win. He knew he was going to win, but he wanted to get on his good side for Klal Yisrael, of course, for programs, for Gittas Moises. So he went to David Schick, who was at that time a big askin and an up-and-coming young rising star, and he asked him to host a fundraiser for Mario Cuomo. So much for objectivity. And that's the same thinly disguised thing that Agud has been doing for years. They did it for Christina Quinn when a poor Agudistan and related Askonim went to Shlomi Dax, the singer's house, and a few handful donated $60,000. And David Seifman, the editor-in-chief, wrote a full page in the New York Post on Sunday, where it was read by over 500,000 people on page 2. I thought Orthodox Jews are supposed to be against the immorality of the lesbian and that homosexual agenda that Christine Quinn, who's running for mayor, stood for. How are they giving her money? Oh, we saw in the city council budget that she allocated money for Agudas, and now I understand. You understand the Chil Hashem? So the same prostituting, whoring that's being done now by Satmar and by Square, like almost says, geld, geld, geld. You understand? This is done by Agudas Yisrael also, and this is done, you just saw it by OU for the security money. We're all doing it for you, Hashem. We have no personal interest, Hashem. Just get money for the meisters. The money for the meisters is the most important part of our Yiddishkeit. We do it all for you, Hashem. We know that this is the tzino, this is the pipeline. The only way we can serve you and our yeshivas won't close down is if Father Andrew the Third Cuomo gives us the money. And that's why the Shatmar makes a gewaltige Peidus with alle Scheine Besäumnis und alle the Chassidim stehen out in the Tisch, mit Handfit, mit Lecknen, mit Sinken Square, mit Klatschen with and everything else. Yes, that's the only way we can do it. There's not enough money in America. We don't have enough billionaires in Klal Yisrael. We don't have enough multi-millionaires. We can't do it without coming on to all this nus. This is Yehud 11. I'm asking you, all of you who can, come back after 1 o'clock After an hour, there's going to be a Christian interlude. Then we're going to come back for a special pre-election program that is going to be on 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning tonight, Thursday night, 1 hour from now. And please tune in Monday night at 1 o'clock in the morning. Once again, I'll have a pre-election special. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff to discuss. In this second hour, I'm going to expose to you. We're going to discuss about Flatbush Mama and her flirtations with bisexuality, and Flatbush Mama's latest fight with Dov Heikind about children who are being educated, Orthodox children in a public school. This is Yehuda Levin, a Guten Tamid. Stay tuned. Come right back for the next program. You won't be sorry.